if you didn't memorize your lines, you're talking to Larry, like right after.
Oh, Larry's gonna lay down the law.
Yeah, he really, like, but you would feel like he believed in you. Like, you're like, no, he's just hard on me because he thinks I'm good. Like, you know what I mean?
This podcast is all about you guys, your journey in music. We can talk about how you met, and we'll talk about the band and the new record as well.
Cool.
So where's the band from? Where are you guys located?
We're from Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Were you both born and raised in LA?
Yeah, both raised in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in suburb-land growing up.
Yeah, I'm from San Diego. I was curious. I didn't realize that the band was you guys started in LA. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're close. We put how's the Blonde Bar doing? Is that place still there?
I don't know. I mean, it was. I don't know now that the pandemic hit and everything. I just moved out of San Diego. We moved to Nashville, so I'm in Nashville now. But
gotcha.
Yeah, but when I was there, I don't know if it was doing anything. I'm not 100% sure. I know they used to do those emo nights and stuff over there.
Yeah, we played there a few times. I think that might be the only place we've played in San Diego, but we've gone back there a few times.
Yeah.
So
cool. Very cool.
They're still alive and kicking.
I don't know. I have no idea what the venue situation is there now, because it's been closed for so long. Especially California's been so locked down forever.
Yeah.
Like I have no clue. Well, so you both grew up in the same area? Did you know each other growing up or no?
No. We had some friends in common though. That she went to high school with one of my best friends that I knew from my friend Justin Levy, who they went to school together, and I knew him from like preschool. He's still probably my best friend.
I feel like the Valley is sort of like a small world, so you end up realizing you know a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
we met a few times over the years.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other really.
Yeah, I was working on a solo album at the time, and I was working with a drummer that was like in a previous band of his, and sort of like I was told to go to one of his shows, and that's when I first met him, and I thought he'd be into the same music I was into just by singing his songs. And we said hi to each other, and then didn't see each other like that fast afterwards, but I started having shows and I needed a guitarist, and he ended up being at those shows, and
I volunteered
my
guitar.
Volunteered your services.
And then very fastly it turned into a band instead of a solo project. And
so Livingmore was essentially your solo project that you guys formed a band through.
I joined her solo band. It was at the time it was called
Alex and the Constellation. It was very short-lived, but previously I always sort of dabbled in like either being in a band or doing solo music right after. And I've always really enjoyed the whole collaboration and like, I guess not being alone thing with being in a band. I like that feeling of, you know, everyone putting their brains together. So I always choose band every time.
Okay.
Especially with this one.
Very cool. Well, how did you originally get into music? What was the first instrument you learned to play?
You know, my first instrument was my voice. When I was one of those kids at 5 that would just like sing around the house all the time. And I was kind of shy, so I wasn't someone that was always like volunteering. If people would be like, sing, it wouldn't be like, yeah, like sort of thing. But
Sure.
in my own time, I would run. My parents noticed I loved singing, so they asked me if I wanted to be in a singing lesson, and I just started doing that a lot. And then I think around 5th grade, I started writing lyrics because I always liked to write like short stories growing up. I was only like 7. I don't know, but like I like to write stories and like doodle and like in elementary school. But yeah, once I started writing lyrics, I started taking piano lessons, but I never fully committed to it. And I also dabbled in guitar lessons, but I feel like lyrics and vocal melody were something that I just always was just more passionate about. It just came to me very naturally. And then when I was in this band, I sort of just really honed in on getting better at acoustic guitar. and that's been a whole other journey for me. And yeah, that's
she's a really good guitar player now, acoustic
Oh.
guitar. She's gotten really good.
cute. But
That's awesome.
but yeah, and I also did plays when I was growing up. I like to do theater, and
Okay.
I was in Annie and Grease, my big things
And
like
that was
that.
like in
This is
high
middle-
school or just
I know it was in middle school, but
middle
I
school?
played a mean Annie, let me tell you.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I did fall off the stage though, and that's a whole other tale that
Did you really? I want to hear that story.
yeah. The funny thing about it is I should have been very thankful I was Annie, but I really wanted to be Miss Hannigan because I had a lot more fun, like playing evil characters in my
Okay.
mind anyway. And
Mhm.
like, but they're like, oh, you're a good singer. And I got the lead part, which was cool. And I just didn't want to wear that red wig in middle school. I was very afraid of the red wig. And it was just as horrendous as you would think it was because it was a middle school play.
Of course.
But and I had this theater teacher named Larry who was like super strict, like literally would have like, if you didn't memorize your lines, you're talking to Larry like right after.
Oh, Larry's gonna lay down the law.
Yeah, but you would feel like he believed in you. Like, you're like, no, he's just hard on me because he thinks I'm good. Like, like I was going through all that.
Is he like some failed actor or something?
I don't know what his story. I don't know what his story was, but he put so much. He would like. Yeah, he was very, very intense, but afterwards he would suck you back in though, because afterwards he'd be like, you guys are wonderful, and you're like, you were so mean to us for like every day, but we kept coming back for more. It's like we thought it was we felt like it was anyway. But back to me like
I wonder what Larry's up to.
He's
yelling at kids.
This is even more awkward, but I'm like, he unfortunately passed away.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
No, I mean this was like 12 years ago probably now, but yeah, he was a very very interesting character. I definitely I do value him.
For sure.
Off the stage.
But I fell off the stage.
Yeah, okay. So
so that happened because they decided to add 2 little square stages next to the main stage. I think I was in 7th grade around this time. And anyway, so I had to act on one of the squares, and they told me to pull out a chair. So there was a scene where I'm talking to Miss Hannigan. I'm supposed to pull out a chair for her to sit, but they already pulled out the chair. They didn't tell me. And it's all dark in the back. So I literally, once I grabbed onto the chair and pulled it, I fell with the chair, and I was holding it. Like I literally thought like, I'm about to break every bone in my body, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was like literally thinking that, like, whoa, my life is passing by. Like, and I fell on my back really hard, but I think the wig protected me. But I held the chair up, and literally the chair never, somehow the super strength kicked in of adrenaline or something. And then I just remember getting up, and my friend thought this was funny because she saw it in the TV back there. She's like, oh, that was hilarious. I'm like, what? But yeah. And then Larry was just like, are you okay? Get up. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And I just like pretended it was part of the play. And like even my own parents were like, I thought that was part of the play. Because like
you pulled it off. Larry's like, rub some dirt in it, get your ass back up there.
Yeah, I had to grow thick skin at a young age. But yeah, I just like literally just remember like getting right back up, and the girl that played Miss Hannigan was like, stop messing around, and like just anyway.
Oh my. Okay.
Yeah, there's that tale.
So middle school plays, and then what did you start, like what about in high school? Were you in a band or anything? Or when did you start really pursuing performing and writing your own music and performing?
I wish I went to one of those like really cool art schools, and that just wasn't my story. Like I went to a school, it was very just like, there wasn't a lot of like artsy, there was, but not a lot of people were in bands when I was in school. And there was like probably one ska band, but they were all dudes. There wasn't any girls that I knew of either doing this. And like, I remember I did do a Pat Benatar song, a talent show, like once with like a backing track, and like I jammed, and I just remember
like a karaoke
one time,
style.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I remember, and no one knew I could sing either. I was very like secretive about this, and like, but yeah, and I jammed with these like 4 dudes, and I would get frustrated because like they'd play the music extremely like, they would just like overpower my singing voice, and at the time I was like too shy to be like, I can't hear I would just end up
turn
screaming.
it down.
I would just end up and so that never really worked, and I just kind of just wrote, and I just always knew I wanted to record. And when I was 18, I did like a demo sort of thing, and I just kept writing and like recording, and yeah, and then performed. And anyway,
Amazing.
my bad.
I play-
About me.
I
What about
played
you,
in-
Spencer? Did you start out like, how'd you start into music?
I guess, well, I started taking guitar lessons when I was a kid. I wanted to play drums, really. That I think that was, and my parents were like, no,
No
we're
way.
none of that. And my dad plays guitar still, and so I think I sort of gravitated towards that. I always watched him playing. My parents had a band when I was a kid too. And I would watch them.
Really?
Yeah.
Like just
And-
like a weekend warrior side
Yeah,
hustle thing, or
Yeah,
or
once in
just
a
like for
while.
fun?
Yeah, once in a while. There's a guitar player, Ken Pattingale. I don't know if you know the band Milk Carton Kids, but he used to play
The name
guitar.
Yeah, the
They've-
name sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, they've gone on to be a pretty big deal, and he used to play guitar with them, like in their this little folk band that they.
Your dad did?
Ken used to play with my dad.
Oh,
and-
wow.
in their little folk band. Yeah. And they're great. Like they still once a year they get together and they do a little thing, but yeah, so it's always kind of been around my family, and started taking guitar lessons when I was probably 11 or 12. And then I never wanted to sing. I was always afraid to sing. I was in a band. I started a band called the Alternates, and through high school I played in that band all probably for 10 years. Ended in,
Oh, wow.
in 2012 or 2013 or something. But I was the lead singer of that band, and it kind of, I never really wanted to sing. I was always really scared, but nobody else wanted to do it. So I kind of,
So you're kind of forced to it.
yeah, and I've always been a little self-conscious of singing, but I like writing lyrics, and I like writing songs, and so working with her is definitely been
Beneficial.
yeah, it's interesting. It's been a really fun process too, to because she writes a lot of the lyrics and a lot of the vocal melodies, but then we both do.
write.
Yeah, we both do, and sometimes I'll write a song, and to hear her sing it is definitely a rewarding thing, to be able to channel a melody or a idea that you had musically, and hit someone with a really beautiful voice sing it and turn it into something else to completely different. It's a pretty magical thing when you get to experience something like that.
That's amazing. And
yeah.
when did you guys meet? Like, what year was that when you played guitar for her in her solo project?
2013 is when we, I think, officially, we played one show together as Alex and the Constellation at the Hotel Cafe
Yeah.
in Hollywood, and then pretty soon after that we kind of just started writing a bunch of songs, and then they were just different. The songs were just different than what was happening with the project that was already as is. And so we kind of just decided, let's just come up with a new name and see what, and we wrote all these songs. The first probably 20 songs that we wrote like acoustically, and then we performed like that, like open mic nights, and
just like as a duo, just you guys, you play guitar and Alex is sing.
Yeah, for about a year and a half, and that's where Alex really got honed in her guitar playing too. We both played guitar, and she really buckled down on her.
Let me tell
guitar.
you, when you're just two people, it's very nerve-wracking if you're not used to doing that. Like I went from like a band and like singing like my lyrics and walking around, and once in a while playing guitar, and all of a sudden like there's nothing to hide. You're just up there. And like I remember we did an open mic night, and I was just, and I was always such a good performer, and I just froze when it was time for him to play a guitar solo, and I had to freaking like keep up with him. I was like no.
Trying to put the rhythm without him. Yeah.
Then I was like so upset. I'm like, why am I trying to do this? I'm so bad at it. But then it was so rewarding when I just really worked really hard at it, and
we
It helps with my songwriting for sure.
we improved at all of our friends and family's expense.
Yeah.
Just practicing in front of them forever.
Yeah.
For about a year. Yeah, we played around, and at first, I mean, I don't think we were terrible, but we were we didn't have it all quite figured out yet. It was sort of it was a work in progress, but it was a good learning experience. We had some disasters happen that just like.
What are the disasters? I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I think the first show that we played at the Satellite. We played
that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, we played.
That's what I was talking about.
An open mic night at the Satellite, and yeah, there was just a moment in the middle of the set where Alex froze.
I just told that story.
Yeah.
He's like, can you relive it again?
Yeah. He's like, remember that disaster you just talked about?
Let me think of one where he really messed up.
Well, there was another one where we it was so hot, and we got like both of us had like heat stroke, or Alex passed out after the
another Alex story.
I'm so dramatic. I did that.
It was during the Echo Park
we got electrocuted. And
oh yeah, we got electrocuted too at one of them. Pretty bad.
Oh my gosh! And an open mic night.
That was at at the Echo Park Rising Festival, and there was like it was hot. It was like 100 degrees. I think we played at like 1:30 or something, and it was in the middle of summer, and it was at this place called Lot 1, and there's just no ventilation in there, and it was like 110 degrees in the room when we played, and we we both got electrocuted. You got electrocuted like on your face. I touched the mic stand, and I was just like, yeah, and I couldn't let go of it. And then
it was like 100 degrees.
Yeah, it was like 100. It was over 100 degrees in there too. And then after we played, Alex like passed out.
Not there, but
when we got back home, she had like a meltdown.
Yeah. Literally, yeah. It's sort of like that happened to me when I was younger too. It's kind of like a hypoglycemic thing that happens to me once in a while, is what the doctor told me a long time ago. But it's weird. Yeah, it's like your vision just starts to become like blurry, and you see like black and white. Like it's interesting.
Oh
my gosh! Well, I'm glad you're okay. That's crazy.
Thank you. It doesn't last very long.
But then we played around town like that, acoustic, passing out and getting electrocuted and freezing in front of people. And then we met our drummer Mike at the Bootleg Theater. We were doing an acoustic kind of thing there. Mm-hmm. And he came up. He was doing an acoustic set also, and came up to us afterwards and was like, do you guys need a drummer?
And we really wanted to make it like a rock band. My goal anyway for this the whole time to be like, it's going exactly how I planned. I wanted it to be like this alternative band the whole time.
Okay.
And kind of turned into that, which is cool.
So getting the drummer was like, was a no-brainer for you.
Yeah. And we were we knew that's where we wanted to go with it. And
Mike was like, I just like quit my job, and like I have this rehearsal space, and he like texted us that we hardly knew him, and we were like, oh, he like told us all this information, and he's like, come here, and we're like, okay.
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty instantaneous connection that we had with him, and we just pretty soon after that we had a bunch of, I think a lot of the songs we already had written, from what I remember. We had 20 songs or so written, and then we kind of just arranged those with him. Mm-hmm. And then we met, he had a friend who's a bass player, Brian Dobbs, who is not in the band anymore, but he played with us for about a year. And he played on our first album. And then, we did some touring and some like, played as
like on Okay to Land. He played on that record.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Did you have an EP before that, or is this?
We did. Okay. It's not on Spotify anymore. We have
called It's All Happening.
Yeah, we have that.
Oh, we have that too. That happened after our first album.
Okay, that was after your first record. So you had an EP prior to the first record as Livingmore, or were you guys something else?
It's all. Yeah, like with It's All Happening, we kind of just wanted it to be like that set of songs. It sort of just lived in this like kind of garage rock 60s world, and like it was just like this little cohesive thing that we didn't want to continue on it. It was just sort of like this like spurt of like creativity that
like,
happened.
this happened, let's put it out. It's all happening, and let's put it out.
It was almost it was that one's almost totally live. We really did that one like really fast at the studio. Didn't really do any overdubbing or
it was just like a
we kind of just that one took 2 days to record and mix and everything. We just like sort of banged that one out over the course of a couple of days and try, like we wanted it to kind of have this just raw garage feel to it, rather than like taking our time with mixing and trying to add ear candy and try to make it.
It's fun to do different things.
But prior to that record and prior to the full length, you had an EP.
We had an EP with a song called Counting Sheep on it.
And there a few of the songs are out there kind of floating around on YouTube, but we don't have it out
like properly as the EP online.
That one it was, except
for Counting Sheep, like that song.
We have the single, the first single that we put out.
Like Counting Sheep has surprised us. That was like the first song we ever worked on together, and over the course of time, it's gotten a lot of traction, which is cool. It kind of just like.
Yeah, I mean, it has over 500,000 plays on Spotify. I mean, that's
that wasn't something that happened like the next day. It just sort of gradually like it keeps on boosting up there, and it was funny because that's like the first song we ever. That's
the first song we recorded together.
Cool.
Oh, really? That was the very first one. And is that the version, the one that's online?
That's the first.
Wow.
First thing we ever recorded,
and it was just us, and we had other players on it, but it was just us at the time in the band.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you tour that EP, or was it mainly just playing around LA still?
It was just playing around LA still.
Mostly, we mostly put that out, and we still really played acoustically for a while, like for about a year.
And that's actually the first song I wrote on guitar. Like I wrote half of it on guitar anyway, and kind of surprised me. I was just like, I don't know why I'm playing air guitar trying to show you. I'm like, it was like
these chords.
I don't know, maybe just the more complicated one I've written. I don't know.
That's cool though.
But then then Rodrigo, who's our current bass player, he plays on the first thing we did with him. I think that's really what it was the It's All Happening thing. We met Rodrigo. Brian had left the band, our first bass player. We met Rodrigo, and we kind of just had these songs. We're like, let's just like do something really quick and see what happens. And that was the first thing we recorded with Rodrigo. And then we did a few other singles, and then this new album that we just finished
doesn't include any of those. Okay, it doesn't.
Right. Okay. Well, real quick on the first record, the first full-length record, was that like you put that out, and was that had you had a chance to tour, or like what were you guys just still playing around Los Angeles at this point?
When we put out Okay to Land, we did do touring after that. We got a booking agent. We did South by Southwest, and we went we did a bunch of we went to New York even, and did played around the East Coast a little. What
was that like? Was that pretty? I mean, you start to see some success. That must have been pretty exciting.
It was really exciting. It was fun.
That was definitely South by Southwest was a really cool experience. That was the first like festival kind of thing we did. I got really sick though. I got like the flu when we went there, and then the whole band got sick at South by Southwest.
Gosh.
Oh yeah.
Before or after you played?
He was sick the whole time.
We had 4 shows or 5 shows while we were in Texas, and I was sick. I had like a fever and for all 5 shows.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad.
Was that something? Sick. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it doesn't matter. I was just saying I got sick. Yeah, on the way back.
The whole band got sick.
Luckily, on the way back though, I just passed out basically the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Was South by Southwest something that you guys got and were like, oh my gosh, like we got this opportunity?
I didn't even know if we were going to get it. Like it was like the last day you can get in it too, is when we were told yes. So it was very like, whoa. Like
How does that happen? Do you like apply to be a band on there? Like what's the process like, or what was the process like at the time?
We had a booking agent that lined it up for us, and
okay.
I'm not sure. I know you have to submit.
So you only have a certain amount of time to do it too.
Yeah, he definitely did the submission process for it. I'm not totally sure how it works, but I think.
But you remember getting the call saying you guys were playing?
Yeah.
What was that like? Tell me about that.
We got a really great showcase too.
It was a very like, it wasn't like a glamorous place. It was a very like tiny, you're in the corner, like,
but it was packed.
But it was packed, and it was so fun. And I love just like, part of playing music is also seeing new things, and it was really cool to just be somewhere new.
Yeah, we got a bunch of shows while we were there too. We played in this weird mansion. We got invited while we were there too. It was one of I don't know how somebody contacted us and was like, "Hey, we heard you guys are in town. Would you guys? We're putting on this private show at it was called the Castle. It was like this weird.
It was like a glass house. It was really interesting.
And we showed up not really knowing what it was, and there was just this like giant. It was literally a castle. It was like I don't know how it was that place had to be worth like millions of dollars or something. But and there was just, I don't even know why we were there. There was just like a bunch of weird people sitting around. Nobody seemed to know why they were there.
That sounds weird. Sketchy. Do you want to come play this castle? And we're all just gonna kind of be there.
I was just waiting for someone to ask us to take off our clothes or something.
Right. Drink the Kool-Aid.
The worst part about it was I left my guitar there. I don't know how that even happened. I would never do that now, but I just like.
Did you have to go back and get it?
The guy that invited us seemed like such a flighty like person, where I didn't know if he was gonna I was gonna ever see it again. It was I was like, he was already like, he was very annoying he was nice but very annoying to deal with already. So think about like this guy who's just all over the place, and then you finally get to the castle, you leave your guitar, you're like, I have to contact this guy again? No way. Like, and I remember having to tell all of them, I was like, guys, like,
we're gonna have to go back.
We're gonna have to. It's like almost an hour away, but luckily, this is what I say like about flighty people: when they're flying your direction, it all works out. Like as long like he flew my direction and decided like I was the person he was going to help that day, and like he gave me my guitar.
He came to you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Awesome, which was amazing, and he was so nice, and like I'm very grateful for that. He flew near me,
sure. Which is wow. Okay. So that was quite the experience there at South by Southwest. At least, I mean, it sounds like you got some good shows out of it too.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we want to.
We made some friends too. Like my friend Madeline, who's in a band called Mod. I made friends with her over there, and I'm still friends with her now. So
nice. Very cool. Well, where were you guys at, and like with the band when COVID hit and stuff? Like, I mean, I know you have a new record coming out. Is that something you were working on prior to the world shutting down, or?
We just in February, right before it really started getting bad, we recorded the drum stuff, and our bass player Rodrigo pretty much had laid down all of his bass stuff. And then and we have our own studio
that's nice.
In the valley, and our drummer Mike is our roommate too, so we've kind of all been quarantined together
together throughout the whole thing. Okay.
And so since we had Rodrigo, he doesn't live with us, but we already had his bass stuff tracked, and most of the drum stuff tracked, and so us two and Mike, we really just from March through I guess it took us 3 months, I guess, to get it all recorded and mixed and everything. We pretty much just locked down at the studio for a few months and just went. It
was like the only thing we were getting dressed to do. Like it was like get dressed, studio, back, and like it was so high tension back. We're still going through it, but we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel now. But then it was very high
Yeah, it was
tension.
super scary for a
It was
long
very,
time.
very scary. Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a weird time. We're really thankful that we had that outlet to be able to focus a lot of our anxiety and
Sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
stress in that direction, and be able to do that in the studio
Yeah.
the whole time. And yeah, and we pretty much after we finished that our bit of recorded all the guitars and the vocals and the synth stuff, and during that time, and then we sent it to our friend Josiah, who he mixed and mastered it for us. And normally we would go with him he lives in Eagle Rock, and he's worked on a couple of our past things, and we go to the studio and sit there with him and mix and give him all of our notes and kind of go back and forth with things. And this time, because of the COVID, we couldn't be there with he just probably wasn't a good idea. So we really just did all the mixing with like Zoom meetings and emails and he would just set the phone next to him on the console while he was mixing, and we'd give him our notes. And
Interesting.
yeah, it was a different process.
Yeah.
But it was we trust him a lot.
He's definitely really learned what we like at this point, because there were so many he's so good, but with any art you want it to be right, and like no one knows what's right but you. Right. So you're gonna have notes just like, oh, even if whether it's guitar, vocals, or whatever, like, oh, I want some reverb on that one vocal part, and that could be very tedious to email, back and forth. With your person, something so small is so easy. He fixes it in one second. But it was but the Zoom thing, we did have like a really long Zoom one day, and it just it was just all done. And I love working with him. He's great. Yeah, we got a lot of it done in one day. Really, it all came together. Yeah. And he was really patient with us too, with all of our notes, because we're kind of particular. and some people would have gotten annoyed. But
do you feel like having that time affected the record at all? Like, I mean, you were able to like really hone down on stuff. Like, do you think the album would have sounded like it does now if we didn't have
I felt
pandemic?
It's hard to say. I think it definitely had an effect. I'm not sure.
I feel like I mean, I don't know if you can hear this or not, but I feel like vocally, I don't know, I felt very present, because I felt like this is like kind of all I like have right now. Like I didn't really care about what it was going to become or anything. I didn't know what was going to happen like the next day. I just felt very like thankful that I was just having this to do, and I felt very present, I guess, I think we all did. It was just a very present energy.
Yeah, I know. What a scary time that was. I can, at the time I was doing radio in San Diego, and they sent me like a FEMA card that had to keep my, like at that, like the first like 2 weeks, it was like nobody can leave, and it was like I was worried like I was gonna get pulled over by like some FBI or I didn't know what was going on. Like they gave me like this letter to put in my car. I'm like, what is going on? Like it was just bizarre to see like nobody on the road, and
like, it's like the end of days.
Yeah, it was totally end of the world. It was bizarre.
Yeah, like zombies. I thought I never felt so. I love scary movies, but zombie movies were always my least favorite until that started happening, and I'm like, now it's relatable. Like,
right.
Yeah. Then I kept watching zombie movies. I don't know why.
It was weird seeing like the photos of the 405 with like no cars on it. It was just like so bizarre.
That is bizarre. And this is also the crazy thing too, is like a couple months after we finished the album, the studio caught on fire, which was another like big like weird thing to happen.
Gosh.
And Mike
in December, it caught on fire in December, right after Christmas.
Yeah, like Mike, our drummer, was there recording, and he was there when it happened, and like it just
it was a big fire too. Like we're in unit 6, I think, or unit 7, and we're in this kind of industrial area, and we're the only actually music studio in the area. Right next to us, it's a like they built fences, and then on the other side they do like painting, some industrial kind of thing. I'm not really sure what they do, And it was in one of the units next to us. There was some cans of paint or something that caught on fire, and it burned. There's 12 units in the whole thing, and it burned all like 12, 11, 10, 9, 8 all are completely leveled.
Yeah, it was
completely
on
gone,
the news.
right
and
up to the
everything. It was
right
like-
up to
Oh
the
my
wall of the bar.
gosh.
Yeah, it was like a
Yeah.
big deal, and like Mike was the one who called 911 first, and
The side of ours and the
kind of
roof,
saved the
there-
whole thing.
it needs some work still. It's kind of in the process that they're replacing the roof, and one of the walls is being ripped out, and they're putting going to put a new wall in. But
Was all
damage
your
was-
gear and everything in there?
a lot of it wasn't.
Okay.
We had a lot of it since we rehearse at the house too over here. And so we have most of, I keep all my guitars and stuff at the house, and my amps, and Mike has his drum kit here at the house where we rehearse downstairs. So yeah, we have most of there, but I mean, there's a lot of gear that was there. Some stuff has smoke damage. I would say most of it was salvageable. There's some stuff that got damaged, but it could have been. Mike was there too. Luckily,
Oh my
he's the one that
gosh.
called the fire department. He was there working on a mix, and he said he heard like an explosion next door. There's like a pop. He said it sounded like a pop, and he was like, what the hell was that? And he got up, and he said
Like smoke was flooding
he
the
said
room.
smoke was just like pouring through like a vent in the ceiling, or like there was like a crack in the ceiling, and black smoke was just pouring through, and he was like, oh my God. And he ran around, he got his phone, and he called the fire department, and there was like 40 fire trucks showed up, and like 100 firefighters. And we were meeting Mike at the studio that day.
Oh yeah, we were picking something up.
Yeah, we were gonna go pick something up, and we pull onto the street, and we just see like the street's blocked off, and there's fire trucks, and there's guys running around.
And we're like,
There's
what?
firefighters up on the roof, and I'm looking at it from a distance, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's our building that's on fire over there. I can't quite tell.
It was just like,
And then we parked down the street because we couldn't get near the building. And the closer we got to it, I was just like, oh my God. And not only is it our building, I think the studio is actually on fire.
And then we just thought like Mike was like burning into like an oblivion. I have no freaking.
Because we're calling Mike, and he's not answering his phone. So I'm like, great. Like, is Mike in the fiery building right now?
Right. Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
luckily,
he was all right. But he was definitely in shock when we got there. He was pretty freaked. But if he hadn't been there and called, the whole place would have gone up.
Yeah, I'm so shocked that it needs work, but next door to all of our places, like unfortunately, like everything is just like gone. Like it looks, it's like it's like
everything's destroyed.
Our rehearsal space is just like standing there with like a bunch of burnt buildings. Like
oh my God,
it's weird.
Everything is destroyed except for our rehearsal space
and a couple other ones near us, but
yeah, there's one like on the other side that didn't get destroyed.
Yeah,
but
it's like a Tim Burton movie or something.
Almost everything. So we're really fortunate to even though there's some damages, it could have been horrible.
Worse. Oh
could have been worse.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was not good.
Wow. And so at this point, oh my gosh, so that's where you were tracking that's where you recorded the record too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where we recorded everything. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. And were you finished at that point?
Yes.
Yes.
Luckily,
Thankfully, we were all the computer was in there though with all the masters, and that was the main. That was the.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and when they were trying to put the fire out, that was Mike. We were waiting on the street, and the firefighters wouldn't let us back in. He's like, I didn't get the computer with the masters. They're still in there. We're like, no. So I mean,
gosh,
the computer was all right, but yeah, the masters could have easily burned up in the fire. Which I guess if the album's done, it's not that important. But nobody could remix it ever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad it's safe and you guys are safe. That's wild. You have a record coming out in a couple weeks.
I know. Yay.
Yeah, we're excited.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I'm so excited.
plans? Like, I mean, at least there's some light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to performing. Are you gonna do like a album release show, hopefully, or like a tour to support the record?
Well, we do have something that's happening next year, but
We don't want to
we
say
don't
too
wanna,
much
like,
about
say
it
too
yet.
much
We have,
about it yet,
there
but
haven't
we-
been any like official announcements yet, but we
Okay.
definitely we have some plans forming for some pretty serious
touring, which
touring
is
next
very
year.
exciting.
Very cool.
Maybe we might, I mean, we definitely want to do something here in LA as far as like an album release show before we really take it out there in the world more. Probably, I mean, I've seen some stuff starting to get booked. We've had a few things pop up, potential things. We haven't taken anything yet. We're still being a little. It's one of those things where it's not necessarily at this point are we allowed to book a show? It's kind of a question of the mentality of, do people want to? Are people?
Is it the right time?
Right.
yet?
Are
No,
people
like,
ready?
The right time.
Yeah.
and-
Are people ready to pack it into a place and see live music, or is it going to be all outdoor stuff for a little bit? And which we're fine. I'm totally fine with too. We're just
we just want it to be the right thing,
yeah
Sure.
haven't
right presentation
yeah
That makes
what-
sense.
for this, and
yeah.
but very excited to play again.
But we are definitely next year going to be doing some pretty heavy touring.
Amazing.
I've been
Yeah.
training for. I've been like keeping the stamina up. Every
Oh,
day.
okay.
Yeah, I've been just like running and singing and just like I don't want to lose the stamina from not having shows for a while. That can happen.
Sure. Yeah, because
Like-
it's definitely a muscle you have to keep working,
Oh, yeah.
or you're gonna lose it, right? As far as
Oh.
vocals.
Yeah, well, vocals, you know what it is? It's not so much like can I sing still? It's more about just the vocal control.
Right,
And
losing your
especially-
voice.
Yeah, no, and especially like, well, you're moving around. I move around. I play guitar, but I also move around the stage a lot. And
Got
you don't
it.
want to be someone that's like, all of a sudden you're out of shape and you're like, panting. That's like the worst nightmare scenario. And you know, and when I feel that happening, I have to kick it into gear and really like, it's definitely, you know, especially if you haven't performed in a while, you're extra excited, you're nervous and extra excited, and that can make you lose your vibrato or your vocal control because the nerves, it's like a rock in your body. So
Mhm.
you really have to, you know, like what I do is like I've been just like running and singing, and if anyone out there you know wants advice, it's just like picture like your voice is like the sun and your body's like the hill, and you have to somehow sing over that hill while you're running, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
It helps a lot.
I was gonna.
doing that
That's funny that
visual.
you said that. My last question for you guys is if you had any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh.
So I don't know if you want to add to that or.
Yeah, I'm all like, you're the hill, the sun. Yeah. But I'm very visual. So if you're visual out there like me, maybe that, you know, because
I think I would just say be yourself. That's really the.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten further along, just trying to.
we don't go, what's in style?
Yeah.
Let's do that now.
Yeah,
Sure.
just
You know.
we do what we like, and,
Yeah.
and we are who we are, whether you think we're dorky or cool or whatever. I'm sure there's all sorts of mixed opinions about the type of people we are, but I think we're a mixture of dorky and cool.
Bringing it backward.